Cooking with Plants, and today I'm joined by Nivi, who is going to tell us her vegan story today for another episode of My Vegan Story. So I haven't heard her story, so it's going to be new to me as well. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what your journey was.
Well, I was vegetarian since I was a child, and growing up in a non-vegetarian family in India, it was really difficult for me to explain to my family and friends why I wouldn't eat meat. But what put me off eating meat was going to the bazaars with my dad and watch an animal which obviously knew that his or her life is doomed and he doesn't have long to live. I couldn't bear to look into their eyes, even as a child, and think that this is what we are going to eat. And it's because of me, this animal will have to die. I couldn't bear it. So, but just explaining that to family was that impossible that I'm afraid I had to resort to a whole heap of lies about, what's for dinner, Mom? I'm not hungry. You know? So I would go without meals as the skinniest kid. I'd go without meals, meal after meal, just because the meal was non-vegetarian, which I suppose the 10% of Indians who can afford it, for them it's a must because they can afford it. So therefore the fish and the meat must be there on the table, right? Because you can.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small amount. Sometimes I would join the family, but the fact that the meat was sitting there in a bowl at the table was so revolting, just the thought of it. I would wait till everyone had gone to bed, and I would go and open the fridge and steal the bread or whatever and have that. But I couldn't bear to eat it. And I sometimes wonder whether it's something to do with being a good girl, because why couldn't I just tell my family, I'm not going to have it, and that's that? Why did I feel I had to go through all those dramas of it?
Yeah.
Giving up dairy was another story. That very good child, a friend of mine, got diagnosed with cancer, and she was undergoing chemotherapy, and the doctor advised her to go off dairy. So I was visiting her at the time, and she told me about it, and she couldn't understand what the connection was, because by then she was that ill. So I did a lot of research, and because I thought, milk is bad for you? No, don't tell me. Now you're going to tell me that blue in the sky is actually green, and I had known it wrong all my life.
Yeah.
So all my life I'd been told, have milk. You didn't drink enough milk, that's why you're so small, or your friends are taller because they had milk and their bones are bigger. You know, the usual.
Yeah, the usual stories.
Usual stories. You're not feeling well, have a glass of milk. You know, probably did the opposite thing to me, but we didn't know that then. Anyway, so because of the research, and I went into the research, and that definitely led to websites where I learned about how animals are treated to get the dairy for us. And that was it, I've never looked back. The other thing is that dairy in India, as I was talking to Anya before, and I said that growing up in India, dairy had never been an evil thing, because we had seen that calves are fed first. When the calf has had enough, then the cow is milked for us. And I had actually seen it and witnessed it. So in my mind, there was no cruelty involved. And a Hindu would never kill a calf because it would be wrong for them to kill a cow. So I wouldn't have ever imagined what is done to the animal to get the milk for us. Although I've lived in England and then in Australia for way longer than I had lived in India, I guess I never thought about it. Once I knew, there is no going back.
Yeah, you can't unsee it.
No, you can't unsee it. I keep thinking about visualizing what we would do if we were hooked up to those machines and the cows were hanging around waiting for us to be milked,
Yeah.
But I just don't get what gives us humans the right to be so superior to all other living things that we feel that we can breed them as objects. as things. We farm them just as we farm rice or anything else. But these are sentient beings, and I think it's our arrogance that we think that we can do this and we can modify them, we can genetically modify them, and all the suffering that they go through because of that.
Yeah, it's that disassociation. If you just walk into a supermarket, everything's packaged. It's just another packaged thing. People just aren't making that connection.
There's no blood.
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you finally told your parents that you were or vegetarian or vegan?
Would you believe it? Maybe only about 10 years ago.
Wow.
I kept up the drama.
So you were just never hungry.
Just never hungry. Or then as I got a bit older, I offered to cook.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. So, which kind of helped.
Mm-hmm. And they never questioned that there wasn't any meat or dairy? They just didn't even think?
No, I would just say I'm making, whatever puris and aloo for you or something like that. So, and I would always choose a dish which was really tasty and people liked eating. So, they never questioned it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much how I got my parents to be vegan, because initially when I said, I'm going vegan, they thought I'd gone mad or something and just couldn't understand that whole concept. But I thought, well, right, what can I do? And I thought, well, I cook good food and I love to eat and I like tasty food. So I just started making them different meals, and every time I went there, I'd just bring a whole load of food and we'd just have a big feast. And all of a sudden they just sort of realised that, hey, this isn't just grass or dry bread or some...
What did you do with the desserts? Because Germany would be big on desserts, cakes, cream.
Oh, well, that's probably... I'm more of a savoury person, so I'd go home before it was dessert time. Or, I'd just bring some fresh fruits or whatever. But usually, they were so full of the main meal anyway that they weren't hungry anymore anyway. So But, even some of the nut cheesecakes out of cashews and things, I'd bring some of those every now and then. And my mum was quite excited because it's all these new ingredients that you can make things with. Like, ooh, I like cashews and I like dessert. So she's more of a baker. She likes baking things. So I gave her a few recipes and she's had to play around with those. So it's worked really well.
Got your curiosity about food from your mum, obviously. And the experimenting and learning.
Yeah, probably the experimenting. But, my mum's more of the baking side of things and she likes playing around with that. Whereas with the main meal, she eats very plain foods. So it was probably more my grandparents and watching my grandmother cook, and, even my aunties, they all love to cook. So watching them as well. And then pretty much after I moved out of home, I just sort of started playing around with cooking. So... Because, moving away from home, there's no one there to cook for you, so... Yeah.
I guess it's so much easier to get people you love to convert to this way of life by convincing them with, okay, what are you afraid of? You think you are going to have to do without, but see...
Well, I think that's probably 95% of the excuses that I hear are, but it won't taste good. And when you actually cook for people and they taste it, it's like, it does taste good. So, there's really no excuses.
Exactly.
You're not missing out on anything.
And then, of course, the nutrition thing is brought up, and then you've got to be prepared with the actual answers for it. Yeah. Because, like, if you have the eggplant and the banana and, nuts and green leafy vegetables, you've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, just have that variety. You have different coloured foods and...
Lentils.
Yeah. Love the lentils.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, no going back for you?
No. I find now I can't. If I just had to even handle it, I don't think I could.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because recently I was invited out for lunch at a seafood restaurant, and I had to say no. I just can't go there. I just can't walk in there. I can't watch other people eating in there. I don't think I could handle the smell of it. So I just had to pass on that lunch invitation. But yeah, these things happen. But yeah, I'll just keep educating people and cooking delicious foods that don't contain fish and
educating through real foods.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time today and telling us your story. That's great. And yeah, nice to have a nice cultural aspect to it as well. Just something a bit different. So if people want to find out more about you, do you have a social media or a website where they can find you?
My Facebook page is Feisty Foods, and I've got a website, feistyfoods.com.au. It's up and running, but it's not very well done because I try and spend about an hour on it every day. Build it up. It'll be good one day.
But Facebook or the website, and if people want to get in touch with you, they can.
Thank you.
Fantastic. See you next time. Bye.